In a moment, we will begin the listening comprehension section of the test. Break the seal and open your test book to the first page. Read the directions for Section 1 in your test book as you listen to the directions on this recording. Do not read ahead or turn the pages until you are told to do so. Section 1, Listening Comprehension. In this section of the test, you will have an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to understand conversations and talks in English. There are 3 parts to this section with special directions for each part. Answer all the questions on the basis of what is stated or implied by the speakers in this test. Do not turn the pages until you are told to do so. Part A. Directions. In Part A, you will hear short conversations between 2 people. After each conversation, you will hear a question about the conversation. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear,
"I don't like this painting very much."
Neither do I.
"What does the man mean?" In your test book, you read, A. He does not like the painting either. B. He does not know how to paint. C. He does not have any paintings. D. He does not know what to do. You learn from the conversation that neither the man nor the woman likes the painting. The best answer to the question, "What does the man mean?" is A. He does not like the painting either. Therefore, the correct choice is A. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part A with the first conversation. Number 1.
They say that my new piano teacher can teach anyone to play.
Maybe, but remember, it's practice that makes perfect.
What does the woman imply the man should do? Number 2.
Wow, that's a great sweater. Did you get it at the new store that just opened down the street?
I did, and I got a great deal on it.
What does the man mean? Number 3.
I don't know how you can stand riding in this car. It's so hot. When are you going to get the air conditioning fixed?
Well, I don't know. With the price they quoted me, I'll probably have to wait till next semester.
What does the woman imply? Number 4.
I see they finally replaced the copy machine.
It's about time. It was here when I first joined the department, and that was almost 6 years ago.
What can be inferred from the conversation? Number 5.
Do you know why the student center's hours have changed? It used to close at midnight, but now it closes at 10. It's also opening later on weekends.
Well, it usually has shorter hours during the summer session.
What does the woman imply about the student center? Number 6.
I'm really excited about taking Professor Thompson's European History course next semester. Didn't you just take it?
I was planning to, but I ended up having to take another course instead.
What does the man mean? Number 7.
I hear the new apartment you and Sally got is really nice. When are you two going to invite me over?
As soon as we finish painting the place, though we still haven't decided on the color.
What does the woman mean? Number 8.
A friend of mine suggested that I call you about the trip to the National Gallery.
Sorry, all the spots are filled, but I can put you on a waiting list in case anyone drops out.
What does the man mean? Number 9.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have volunteered to help you memorize your lines for the play. I still haven't finished writing my essay.
That's okay. Sue said she would help me rehearse if you couldn't do it.
What will the woman probably do next? Number 10.
Just look at that painting. Isn't it marvelous?
To be completely honest, the Impressionists were never my favorites.
What does the man mean? Number 11.
Excuse me, I didn't order this cake.
It comes with your dinner, ma'am.
What does the man say about the cake? Number 12.
I need a break. How about we go get some pizza at that new place that just opened on Broad Street?
I've got to keep working on this report, but if you could bring me a slice, that'd be great.
What does the woman imply? Number 13.
Professor Adams, I hear you run a science club that meets over lunch, and I was wondering if you could use another member.
There's always room for anyone who's interested. We talk about current scientific topics, the latest scientific news.
What does the man mean? Number 14.
I can't believe I missed that job interview at the bookstore. I mean, I really thought it was tomorrow.
Well, actually, I'm not surprised. You've had a lot on your plate lately.
What does the woman mean? Number 15.
Could you possibly get these papers in order for this afternoon's meeting with the legal staff?
I'm willing, but I'll need you to tell me what's involved.
What does the man mean? Go on to the next page. Number 16.
The history department's hosting a reception tonight for Professor Newman's retirement. Were you planning to attend?
My favorite professor? Are you kidding? It's my only chance to say goodbye to him. I can't afford to miss it.
What does the woman mean? Number 17.
There's a new coffee shop next to the library.
I know. I've been meaning to check it out.
What does the man mean? Number 18.
I'm never sure what clothes to bring when I go home to visit my parents. The weather there is so different from the weather here.
My parents only live a few miles from here, so that's not an issue for me.
What does the woman mean? Number 19.
So, I hear the report for your geology class was really tough to write.
You have no idea.
What does the woman mean? Number 20.
I totally forgot about the concert last night. I'm so sorry. And I was supposed to give you a ride there, right? I feel terrible.
Don't. My roommate decided to go after all, and we both agreed. It wasn't even worth the trouble of getting there.
What does the woman imply? Number 21.
I'm thinking of starting my own restaurant after I graduate.
That's going to be a lot of work. Can you really see yourself doing that 18 hours a day?
What does the man imply? Number 22.
That was a fun social the other night at the student union, but I think it went on a little too long considering we had classes the next day.
Yeah, I could barely make it through the next day myself.
What does the woman mean? Number 23.
So, I understand you want to drop your ornithology class. Have you suddenly decided you're no longer interested in birds?
Not at all. But this was an elective, and I had no idea that we would be going on bird watches before the sun is even up.
What does the woman mean? Number 24.
I really want to read that new novel by Billie Jean Hayworth, but I don't want to spend the money on it right now.
Oh, don't buy it. I'll be finished with my copy in a few days.
What does the woman mean? Number 25.
Looks like the party'll have to be moved inside. This rain doesn't seem to be letting up.
From the look of those clouds, you're probably right.
What does the woman imply? Number 26.
So, when do you think you can have the paper into me?
Is Monday okay? I'm still not feeling so hot.
What does the man mean? Number 27.
Oh, do you have to leave so early? This is my first photo exhibit. I'm so thrilled that some pictures I've taken are being displayed for people to see.
I know. I'm really sorry. If I didn't have that test tomorrow.
What does the woman imply? Number 28.
You wouldn't believe the line at the auto inspection center. I waited more than 2 hours to get through it.
That's what you get for waiting until the last day of the month.
What does the woman imply? Number 29.
I still haven't made my room reservation for the conference. I've got it narrowed down to either the Hotel Grand or the Ruby Hotel, but I don't know which one to choose.
Oh, that's easy. Didn't you see that article in the paper about the company that owned the Grand? It went out of business and closed all its hotels.
What does the woman imply the man should try to do? Number 30.
I'm looking forward to your presentation in our business class tomorrow.
Oh, didn't you get the professor's email? She has to attend an all-day workshop tomorrow.
What can be inferred from the conversation? This is the end of Part A. Go on to the next page. Now read along as the directions for Part B are directions. Being read. In this part of the test, you will hear longer conversations. After each conversation, you will hear several questions. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part B with the first conversation. Questions 31 through 33. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a professor.
Will we be going really deep into the caves on the research field trip?
Yes, we will. We'll be trying to replicate some of what the researchers did in the study we read for class. We have permission to collect a sample, a small stalagmite, for analysis, and you'll learn how to collect other data in the caves, too.
Will we be able to reach the stalagmites, though? I mean, do they hang down low enough? I've heard the ceilings of these caves are really high.
No, you're getting them mixed up with stalactites. Stalagmites are formed on the floor of a cave.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, stalagmites are created when water that's full of calcium carbonate and other minerals drips through the cave ceiling onto the cave floor. The dripping continues for thousands of years, and rock-hard deposits build up on the floor.
Okay, yes. And the study showed that they contain important traces of chemicals that help us understand what was going on in the climate thousands of years ago, right?
That's right. They can provide us with the same kind of information we get from polar ice cores, samples of layers of ice that have been drilled in Greenland or Antarctica. Okay, so after we figure out how old the different layers of the stalagmite are, we'll measure their chemical composition. What do you think that'll tell us?
Oh, that was in the article. The amount of precipitation that was going on during certain time periods.
That's right.
Number 31. What is the conversation mainly about? Number 32. What misunderstanding did the student have about stalagmites? Number 33. Why does the professor mention water? Questions 34 through 38. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and a librarian.
My name is Max Nyman. You're holding a book for me? Natural Perspective by Northrop Frye. It's about Shakespeare's comedies.
I don't see your name on the list. When were you notified that it was available?
A few days ago.
No wonder. See, your professor put this book on reserve because it's so popular, and we only hold a reserve book for 24 hours after we notify you that it's available. If you don't pick it up within 24 hours, it goes to the next person on the list. That was all in the email you received.
So, someone else got the book?
I'm sorry. At the end of term, the demand can get very intense.
What am I going to do? I'm writing about themes that are repeated in several of Shakespeare's comedies, and everything I've read references Frye. We discussed it in class, but I really need the book.
We do have multiple copies of the book, but they're all out. And there's a long list of people waiting to use them. Even if you requested the book again, I'm not sure when you'd get it.
Probably not in time. I mean, if my professor hadn't been talking about Frye's ideas so much, maybe I could try to finish the paper without it, but...
You know, have you tried other area libraries? If it's such an important book, it's bound to be in one of them.
Number 34. Why does the man go to see the librarian? Number 35. What rule does the librarian explain to the man? Number 36. What topic does the man plan to write his paper on? Number 37. What is one reason why the man wants to use the book by Fry? Number 38. What does the librarian suggest the man do? This is the end of Part B. Go on to the next page. Now, read along as the directions for Part C are being read. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear several short talks. After each talk, you will hear some questions. The talks and the questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear, listen to a professor talk to his class about a television program.
I'd like to tell you about an interesting TV program that'll be shown this coming Thursday. It'll be on from 9 to 10 p.m. on Channel 4. It's part of a series called Mysteries of Human Biology. The subject of the program is the human brain, how it functions and how it can malfunction. Topics that will be covered are dreams, memory, and depression. These topics are illustrated with outstanding computer animation that makes the explanations easy to follow. Make an effort to see this show. Since we've been studying the nervous system in class, I know you'll find it very helpful.
Now listen to a sample question. What is the main purpose of the program? In your test book you read, A. To demonstrate the latest use of computer graphics. B. To discuss the possibility of an economic depression. C. To explain the workings of the brain. D. To dramatize a famous mystery story. The best answer to the question, what is the main purpose of the program, is C. To explain the workings of the brain. Therefore, the correct choice is C. Now listen to another sample question. Why does the professor recommend watching the program? In your test book you read, A. It is required of all science majors. B. It will feature the professor's research. C. It can help viewers improve their memory skills. D. It will help with coursework. The best answer to the question, why does the professor recommend watching the program, is D. It will help with coursework. Therefore, the correct choice is D. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part C with the first talk. Questions 39 through 42. Listen to part of a lecture in a communications class.
During the golden age of radio drama, the late 1930s and early 1940s, radio mystery plays were incredibly popular. These mysteries were patterned after detective novels, where a detective, like Sherlock Holmes for example, investigates an apparently impossible crime. The key to the radio mystery plays was that the listener was challenged to figure out the crime before the detective did. As the story unfolded, all of the clues would be provided to the listeners. Still, often the listener was outsmarted. In the end, the detective would solve the crime with an unexpected but rational explanation. John Dickson Carr wrote a number of radio mystery plays. He also wrote detective novels and even a biography of Arthur Conan Doyle, the Sherlock Holmes author. Carr's radio mysteries were very popular in the United States and in England. He became famous for his clever solutions to puzzling crimes. Another name associated with this period is Orson Welles. Welles is best known for his broadcast of The War of the Worlds. This radio play sounded like a news broadcast in which reporters talked about an invasion from outer space. When it aired, there was public panic because many listeners didn't realize that it was just a radio play. This emphasized the power of the media over the public, a topic we'll be discussing next week. In order to study how the media influences us even today, I'd like you all to keep a journal this week. Record the media to which you're exposed, radio, television, newspapers, and how you respond to it.
Number 39. What is the talk mainly about? Number 40. What did most listeners do during radio mystery plays? Number 41. According to the professor, what was significant about the radio play The War of the Worlds? Number 42. What assignment does the professor give the students? Questions 43 through 47. Listen to part of a lecture in a United States government class.
We've been talking about how the United States government uses public funds. Today, I'd like us to look at how the government has used such funds to support the arts. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, thousands of artists were without jobs. The government created the Federal Art Project to give these artists work, and, just like any employer, the Federal Art Project expected results. Artists were required to produce a certain number of works within a given time frame. Now, it's not easy to be creative on command, and not all the works of art produced were masterpieces, but the program itself provided income for thousands of people. The Federal Art Project ended in 1943. It wasn't until the early 1960s that the United States government once again decided to get involved in funding the arts. This time, it was not to rescue artists from unemployment, but to satisfy the general public's desire for access to art. You see, the U.S. in the 1960s was prosperous. So the U.S. government started a new program to fund the arts when people had more leisure time to go to museums, see plays, and attend concerts. Citizens demanded more and better art, and the government realized that the arts were a component of a healthy nation. The program from the 1960s continues to fund a wide range of artistic projects. But some people argue that the government shouldn't be involved in art at all. It's a debate we'll still be having for decades to come.
Number 43. What does the professor mainly discuss? Number 44. According to the professor, how was the Federal Art Project like other employers? Number 45. What does the professor say about artwork produced for the Federal Art Project? Number 46. According to the professor, why did the United States government establish a new arts program in the 1960s? Number 47. What does the professor say about the debate over government involvement in the arts? Go on to the next page. Questions 48 through 50. Listen to part of a lecture in an agriculture class.
For some time now, we've been hearing a lot about ethanol. Ethanol is a type of alcohol that can be used as a fuel, a renewable fuel. Unlike fossil fuels like gasoline, which are produced from resources that will eventually be used up, ethanol can be produced from crop plants, like corn, for example, which are renewable resources. So we can continue to produce ethanol indefinitely. And there's recently been a lot of interest in a byproduct of ethanol production, a sort of residue, a dry grain residue that's left over after the ethanol's been produced. Farmers who produce ethanol are now making additional profits by selling this residue to cattle farmers as feed for their livestock. It's a relatively inexpensive and very nutritious feed, a sort of a super condensed form of the nutrients that were in the crop plant to begin with. And it turns out that there may be even more uses, more markets for this byproduct. For one thing, because this residue releases nitrogen, phosphorus, and other nutrients as it decays, it also encourages the growth of some crops, so it may have a future as a fertilizer. That's not so surprising, I don't think, but researchers have also found that applying this dried grain residue to soil as a surface mulch actually suppresses the growth of certain weeds. So there's another potentially lucrative application.
Number 48. According to the professor, what advantage does ethanol have over fossil fuels? Number 49. According to the professor, how is the ethanol byproduct now being used? Number 50. What does the professor imply about the new potential uses for ethanol byproducts? This is the end of Section 1, Listening Comprehension. Stop work on Section 1. This is a reminder. At the end of the test, the supervisor will collect all of the test books. You may not leave until all of the test books have been collected. End of recording.